a lot of people discover needlework. You'll see
you see lots of
needlepoint, what are the forms? Knitting, crocheting.
Yeah,
and it's competitive. You'll walk by and you'll see someone got a blue ribbon or a gold ribbon, and then you go, wow, that is the showstopper. That's the piece that all the judges thought was spectacular. To me, that in itself says a lot because you're competing against other crafters. And if you win a reward, that's nice. You can hang it on your wall at home. But you know darn well that all the people that didn't win a reward are going to be back doing their crafts the very next day with just as much enthusiasm as they had before they ever submitted it to the show. There is one other thing. I don't know if it's a craft or not, but the area that I always like to hang out is where they have the model train displays.
Oh, yeah. Those were kind of cool.
It's a bunch of boys and a bunch of men standing around watching this little train go around on a track, round and round and round. But it's fascinating. And you have to understand that they build these models, all the little houses and the people and the cars, all that stuff is handmade. So that's handmade. Handmades are crafts. That's a craft. And a lot of talent and experience goes into building such stuff.
True. I went through a model railroad, I guess, for just a few months, I think, and I got a little train. And then once I set it up and watched it go around and around a few times, I think that was it. I think I got bored with it.
You lost the excitement.
I did. It wasn't there anymore, so I didn't like it anymore.
We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the food that you find at county fairs where they compete for like the best jam, best pie, best cake, best all of that. Well, that is a craft.
Oh,
and
definitely.
it requires canning. I didn't think about that.
It.
But you have to be very talented to make a great apple pie that wins the blue ribbon.
Well, I think that the judges on that one are the lucky ones because they get to taste all this stuff. So it's kind of cool because they'll try out somebody's preserves or their vegetables that they canned or whatever to make sure that they did it correctly and everything's fine. And it looks like it's
and they do it blind. Fun. They really don't know.
They don't know. No,
they don't know who they're judging.
No.
They just have to do it strictly by taste.
But that sounds like fun.
But those are very creative people.
Very.
Our show is dedicated to creative people.
Right.
And that's where we're headed with a guest.
Right, and we wanted to bring you our special guest today, Angelina Fielding. She is a successful artist, historian, and a writer. She's also excellent at crafting junk journals, which is why she's here today.
That's going to be interesting to hear what she has to say. I've known her for a while, and the thing that I always like to say about her, she's truly a Renaissance woman. She's so talented in so many ways. So many things that she does are just quite brilliant. That's for lack of a better term.
She is. Hi, Angelina. Welcome to the Thought Road podcast.
We're so glad to have the opportunity to chat with you today, Angelina.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me over.
You are so welcome. So we have a little question that we want to ask you.
It's a tough one.
It's a hard question.
So be prepared.
Yeah. What did you have for breakfast today?
Actually, I do not eat breakfast.
Oh, okay. Do you have coffee or tea or anything like that?
I will just have water and start my day. As the day progresses, sometimes I may have some coffee. But I actually only eat when I'm hungry. And most of the times, I'm so engrossed in my work that I forget to eat. And breakfast is definitely not a staple with me.
Well, some people don't like it. They're not into it.
Yeah, you're not always eating. I mean, that's not your favorite meal either.
No, not me either. I would rather, I want my coffee or tea and that's it, but I'm forced to eat breakfast.
Conversely, I'd rather have a nice big breakfast and then eat light meals during the day or at the end of the day.
We all have our own rhythm, I guess, of eating and things like that.
This is true. Yeah. I think mine may be a little off just because the way I work, it's, I sleep maybe 4 hours a day.
Wow.
And that is on a good day. So I'm constantly in a working cycle. And so
that leads
no
me
set breakfast time.
That leads me to our real question here, although the other one's pretty real. I know, and Angie and I know, we know you're very talented in many areas. You're an artist, you're a historian, you're a writer, and you also create beautiful junk journals. Today, we'd like to
Yes.
start out by talking about the junk journals. So perhaps you could tell us exactly what is a junk journal.
Sure. So as the term implies, a junk journal is essentially a journal that is made out of materials that would be considered junk. So, for example, old newspapers, checkbook sheets, things that you would normally just trash because there's no room for it. Flyers, advertising flyers, coupons, things like that. And so it's made up of all these items, these pages, these sheets that are considered junk. But when you put it together, you can transform those junky sheets into something more valuable and more beautiful as you continue to work on your journal. Essentially, that's what a junk journal is. People use all kinds of things. It really just depends on who is making the journal. I use all of those things, and I use old envelopes, all kinds of things to transform it into a workable page that I can use in my journal.
So what is your philosophy behind junk journaling?
So, as you know, I'm a historian, and I find anything dealing with history very exciting. My philosophy in general, whether it's my writing or art or making journals, is just trying to preserve whatever is old, whatever is something that people normally wouldn't think twice about. So preservation is what drives me in my work. And junk journaling is no different. I find it exciting because it gives me an opportunity to find something that I can reintroduce, repurpose, and recreate into something else, which still has a little bit of its own history left to it.
So when you're out and
Sort
about,
of like a new object.
when you're out and about and you see something, does that trigger a thought related to history? And you go, wow, this would be really great in one of my junk journals?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things I enjoy doing is just going, in my town where I live, there are small shops, and I'll frequent them, and sometimes I'll come across items that may inspire me. Either I'll take the item itself, for instance, old vintage papers. I may come across something like that, old wallpapers. And I may just grab those and then incorporate them into the junk journal. Or it could be that I just saw an old painting in an antique shop, or an old image, or a statue, or something that just triggers some sort of inspiration in my mind. And then I'll go back and translate